So could the Tesla Swasticar bankrupt Elon Musk? That's the subject of today's video, and check out the headlines today. Anti-Elon Musk poster, "Don't buy a Swasticar in London," goes viral. And essentially, Elon Musk is pissing off people all around the world in several countries, and people aren't going to buy his products. And that's the subject, is like, okay, when is this guy going to go bust? Well, if you've been following Tesla stock, which much of his wealth is tied to, it's been crashing like crazy. This past month is down 29%. From the top to the bottom, or not so the bottom, to the top to where we are now, I should say, is down 41%, right? So just think about that. If your wealth is tied to this thing and you're down 41%, that really hurts. Now, he'll pretend it doesn't matter. His fanboys and fangirls, oh, it doesn't matter. It's only down 41%. But no, when you see your account go down 41%, you feel it. On top of that, look at this. Someone wrote a meme here where the salute maybe the date that sank him. And on top of that, he's got some legal issues. This is breaking right now. Judge orders Musk DOGE agency staff to testify in a lawsuit. So I'll be actually curious if Musk himself takes a stand. I'm thinking he's probably going to send one of his staffers. Let's see what the details of this one. But yeah, they're getting ordered to, like, yo, what are you guys doing over there? Testify under oath. It says here, the Elon Musk-led Department of Government Efficiency must present a representative to testify under oath at a deposition about the structure of the office, its authority, and its work, a judge ruled, right? U.S. District Judge John Bates on Thursday ordered the Trump administration to produce, give me one, find someone, produce someone, right? Produce witnesses for deposition, as well as produce records and answers questions in a lawsuit brought by labor unions and nonprofit groups. The suit seeks to block DOGE's access to systems at 3 federal agencies. You got the Labor Department, Health and Human Service Department, and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. One thing that's interesting about this Musk situation, so his plan is, okay, we're going to fire everyone, forget about jobs. You don't need jobs, right? Okay. So, and I laugh, and guys, and I want to make this serious. I do understand. You're talking about a billionaire telling, regular people that you don't need to work, get out, you're lazy, that kind of stuff. That's sort of how he treats people. And then on top of that, he still expects you to buy your cars. So just break it down. If you piss off people, people aren't going to buy your Swasticars. And if you fire everyone and they don't have jobs, they don't have any money to buy your Swasticar. So none of this really adds up, but that's sort of the world that we live in, and it doesn't really make sense. On top of that, you get these weird headlines here. Donald Trump's cabinet is incompetent. Yeah, we know that. Worse, it's at the whim of Elon Musk. Like, how did we get to this state to where you have this like crazy, insane dude that thinks he can do everything and clearly he can't? And not only that, like, he's got the keys to the kingdom and it looks like to be driving us off a cliff. Like, how do we get to this point? And this is sort of why we have to call this stuff out every day. And guys, if his wealth really sinks, like if Tesla stock just, plummets down to nothing, he's in real bad shape. The guy carries a lot of debt. If you don't know, for many of his business ventures, I think now he's trying to raise money for X and XAI. He's also trying to get, more government money. Trump recently signed like an executive order thing that said, hey, let's have a centralized payments, system. That was just yesterday. And who would try to benefit off that would be Elon Musk, of course. I've predicted this a long time ago, to where, like, if Musk gets all of our information and figures out how all the government system works, he'll try to say, hey, let's turn everything to AI. And let's use my X/XAI platform, and let's send all Social Security payments and everything through me. I have a feeling that's how he's trying to save himself. So Tesla's not really a priority for him, but you'll hear some rumblings of how he's trying to save the company. So, for example, this just came out today. And again, guys, he's been ordered, or him or whoever representative is going to be ordered to testify about what is DOGE up to, firing all these people, etc. You got this. They're going to try to do their self-driving taxi service in California. This was a strange one because it says Elon Musk Tesla moves to launch free self-driving taxi service in California. So, like, how's that even going to make sense? How are you going to make money on this thing? I personally think this is all smoke and mirrors. And we'll see. Waymo has the service in a few cities. Yes, some people do use this stuff, but it's not widely adopted. And is it really going to bring in revenue like nuts? I don't think so. And plus, I don't think their tech works anyway because it doesn't have sensors and things. So there's that. So, that's how you're trying to save yourself. And you look at their, say, Cybertruck. This was an interesting one today. It says thousands of Tesla Cybertrucks gathered dust, even with a $6,000 discount, right? You can't give these things away. One of the things as well is people do have a lot of questions about this guy's net worth, right? So you'll see these articles pop up every now and then. Tesla's tumble hits Musk's wealth hard. How much he's worth? No one actually knows, to be perfectly frank. Because Tesla stock is really, volatile. It goes up and down. Right now, down 41% is quite a lot. He also has net worth in X. His XAI is sort of like his separate AI company thing. He's building the Grok stuff. He's trying to raise money for that. He's trying to raise money for it's like together and separate at the same time when you talk about raising money for either X or XAI. And then he's got his SpaceX thing, which is reliant on government contracts. There's a lot of things up in the air with this guy. For his private companies, we don't actually know the numbers, whereas something like Tesla, it's public trade, right? So you can see sort of how people are treating this thing and how they're valuing it. Regarding his privately traded stuff, though, you'll hear rumors from time to time, and that's why I'll share the stuff with you, like, hey, and what are they doing with his debt? Are they raising money or not? But it's a big juggling act for this guy. That's essentially what it boils down to. And on top of that, essentially what they're trying to do for Musk's point of view is get it embedded in the government and then remove regulations, right? So I'm showing you this one. So this is an example. You'll see this recently with Trump. You'll see a lot of these kind of things. It says, Consumer Watchdog moves to drop Capital One lawsuit. So what does it have to do with Tesla? So for example, Tesla has all sorts of discrimination suits, safety suits, right? And any number of things against them. And essentially these companies like a Tesla, or you could talk about Amazon or Facebook or Apple or whatever, if they have any sort of government oversight reaching in and saying, hey, you're a monopoly, or hey, you're hurting consumers, or hey, you're damaging people, etc. If you make friends with the Trump people, they'll just make those lawsuits go away. So from a regular person's point of view, from the average consumer, the average person, this is not a good thing, right? You don't want to remove regulation to let companies just cheat you whenever they want. And that's kind of the world that Musk wants. He wants to be able, for example, let's say you get hurt in his Tesla car or whatever, and you want to sue someone, they'll just try to how can I say, remove any sort of liability from themselves, or just wiggle out of whatever. So that's why this is sort of big news when the judge is saying, hey, send over someone from DOGE to see what you're doing, tell me your structure, what's your procedures, etc. You also got this. This is actually kind of an interesting one as well, and it relates to the goals of Musk and Trump. CNBC says, how the Trump and DOGE terminations, perhaps the biggest job cuts in history, may affect the economy. Now, we don't actually know the exact numbers because they're doing it so quickly and so fast. One estimate, this is in terms of how many federal employees are you pushing out. It says right here, it says North American economy, capital economics. Okay, estimates between 100,000 and 200,000 federal staffers have probably already been let go. That's a big range. Like how many have actually? I think it's so many we don't even know. And they were comparing this, and if you guys remember the 1993 with IBM, they're saying the last time we had these mass layoffs, like in the history, would be 60,000 employees in 1993 with IBM. So if you guys remember that, you can let me know. I was alive during that time, but I would have been much younger than I am now, so I just don't remember that one. Citigroup, Sears, Roebuck would be a similar one. So this would be like Sears. I remember folding. I remember that was all over the news. Citigroup, so that would have been during 2008. So that'd be like the Great Financial Crisis. And then Sears, was that 1993 already? Wow. So that would have been a tough year, 93 with IBM and then Sears, I guess. Yeah, that would make sense. But that was only like 60,000 jobs and 50,000 respectively. So again, Musk's plan is to hey, everyone buy my car, everyone ride in my Robotaxis. And even with the Robotaxi thing, the whole premise of that is removing drivers, like taking away drivers' jobs and turn it into robots. Like it doesn't make sense, because if none of us have jobs, how can we pay for any of the stuff that you're trying to sell us? And this is sort of why I try to just put it all together for you guys, and you realize, oh my God, this is insane. Yes, it is insane. On top of that, they're trying to raise tariffs to throw it into their sovereign wealth fund, right? So basically, it's a tax on you. So they collect the slush fund, and then the fund Musk type of stuff, right? Musk and his buddies. They're trying to convince you that tariffs, right, taxes on you are going to be awesome. Yes, the U.S. can be fabulous economy with tariffs. Now, the general concept of a tariff, just to make sure it's clear. I'm an American company. I bring in goods from outside the country, right? So the American company's on the hook for the tariffs, for the tax essentially. And then what they do, they end up just basically passing the cost on to you. Now, the idea would be that, okay, I'm protecting American companies by making foreign goods more expensive, and then I use that money to subsidize American companies. That'd be the basic gist of it. And then how you subsidize things, where the money goes, is obviously very important. So I said, That's where the sovereign wealth fund comes into play. And then you also have Trump saying, hey, you're going to have a gold card. If you give us $5 million, a foreigner can come in and set up whatever shop. Money may get funneled to those kind of things. There's a lot of money being shuffled around. Generally speaking, though, most economists, Nobel Prize winning ones, are like, these tariffs are going to hurt regular people and it's going to hurt the world economy. You'll see this quite a bit in the companies. In their earnings calls, they'll be talking about tariffs. So this is actually kind of an interesting one. It says tariff worry surpasses 2018 levels, dominating earnings seasons, meaning that the mentions, and Bloomberg actually does these charts from time to time of like how many times do people offer or mention, I should say, tariffs in their earnings calls, right? So you can see it's up in the, like it was in the past. Now, they're going to try to put out these rumors out there that you're going to get some sort of stimulus check with the DOGE stuff. It's a bunch of hooey. I'll just say this. It's a bunch of hooey. And it was interesting, actually. They got more details on this stuff. So first, it's this idea of a $5,000, check from DOGE. It's being pushed by this guy. I think his name is Fishbeck. I know exactly who it is. I'll just say he's an idiot. He hangs out with Tesla stock promoters. And he's a kind of a kiss up to Trump. And when they asked him, they pressed him like more questions, it sounds like, I'll just tell you, it sounds like if you were to ever get this thing, which likely isn't going to happen, first they'd have to cut $2 trillion from the budget, right? So which is quite a lot. They'd have to slash a bunch of services that you need, and then I guess for slashing Medicaid and Social Security or whatever they're going to try to slash, hey, you're going to get $5,000. But if you make under 40K, chances are you aren't going to get it. And also if you don't pay taxes, chances are you aren't going to get it. It's like they're tying it to tax returns, which I thought was kind of interesting, and they mentioned that stuff. So I just it's not worth covering over. It's just smoke and mirrors. That's all it is. It's smoke and mirrors. I'll put it. I'll make it most simple. And then Musk is actually pissing off people all around the country, and this is actually an interesting one because I've known about this stuff before. We don't talk about it all the time because it doesn't come up as often, but it could really hit him. Basically, the way different states sell cars, you have franchise laws. Essentially, like a big car company, legacy ones like a Ford, GM, or whatever, usually sell stuff through a dealership, right? Tesla has found ways to try to get around this system. And in fact, many of the blue states have allowed Tesla to do that, and that was a way to support the sort of electric car industry. Now, if they change that, which I think is a very high possibility, and that's why this says here, Dems are icing out Tesla lobbyists over Elon Musk's Trump ties, right? So basically, if they change dealership laws, or not change the laws, but just take Tesla out of the exemptions from whatever laws, it could really hurt them. So it just changes their model. Part of what Tesla's trying to do, and that's why it wasn't mentioned this year, but I've seen it before. Tesla's been in talks to perhaps put dealerships, or however you want to call it, their sales locations, probably better way to say it, on Native American reservations. So we'll see if that ends up being a thing. But effectively, what I'm saying is Tesla has benefited from a lot of government policies to help them maintain their business, be it through the carbon tax credit type of way that they can make money, be it through the EV tax credit, and also through how they do the direct sales, right, the dealership thing. There's 50 states, they have different laws and this stuff, so it gets kind of complicated. But I just want to give you an idea that this could actually really sink Elon as well. On top of that, Elon and all his fanboys and fangirls, they like to say, well, interest rates are a bit high right now. Let's just cut rates and people will get more auto loans. Well, the Fed's probably not going to cooperate with you there. There's a couple of the people at the Fed came out and talked today. It says Fed Harker says rates restrictive enough to lower inflation, meaning that you're not gonna get cuts. It's not gonna happen. They also got this one. Fed's Hammock says rates on hold, not meaningfully restrictive. So she's probably kind of like saying maybe we could even raise rates, etc. Musk's only hope at this point is to try to get some sort of government benefits. But again, like his whole stuff with DOGE, they're being called in to testify. In the Congress is actually kind of interesting because the Republicans have a razor thin, how are we going to call it, majority, if you want to call it that, but it's like razor thin, just a few seats, over the Democrats. They're gonna have to try to pass things with the reconciliation bill. This gets really complicated. The basic gist of it is it sounds like they can get things through without the Democrats, but like every single Republican has to agree, which is tough to do. I mean, it's tough to do. You also have to do things that are only tied to the budget, bringing in revenue, cutting deficit, that kind of stuff. So new legislation may be off the table. Can they get anything through? We'll see. But again, I think it's really, and it's called reconciliation. You can read through the details of stuff, but I say the basic gist of it is you got to get all the Republicans on board doing the same thing. And then also you can't really change that much, but you can change in terms of like budget itself. That's what this is all about. We follow the Musk stuff because, frankly, he's coming in as a business person trying to turn everything private. He wants to figure out the profit off himself and figure out ways to save his companies. I think he's in big trouble myself, and that's why I think he's wigging out all the time. You'll see it in public interviews, or you'll see it the way that it behaves. And he always kind of, how can I say, spreads a lot of misinformation out there. So I understand his fanboys and fangirls love him. I understand that, and probably can never change their point of views. But I'll just say this: when jobs hit you, right? So for example, here Elon Musk's conflicts of interest should scare everyone, right? When job things hit you, or when Tesla cars hurt your family, like physically hurt your family, you're gonna be like, God, why didn't someone protect us? Why did someone let Tesla cars that are not safe on the road? And this is sort of gonna, when you want, oh wow, that's why we do want regulations. That's why we don't want Elon Musk having massive control of everything to benefit himself. Or when your Social Security payment doesn't come on time, right? And you're like, who let Elon Musk have the control of the payment system? These are the kind of things that you want to pay attention to. It does affect your actual daily life. And Elon Musk just frankly has too much power. It's insane. The USA, the way that it's structured, I understand it can be frustrating when democracy is slow. I understand that. But that is also kind of a benefit. So you don't have one person coming in and just decreeing everything and declaring themselves a genius and say, hey, I know what's best for you. When they're born rich, they don't understand your life, and they live in this weird fantasy world induced by a lot of substances. This guy's on all sorts of meds. And it's crazy that anyone, gave anything close to the keys to the car to this guy. But this is where we are. So I want to hear your thoughts on these things. I know we cover a lot of material, but just want to make sure that you're updated and know what's going on. And I'll catch you all in the next video.